Nintendo 64! Sorry. Okay, last one. Nintendo 64. Well, there really isn't too much of a variation in the actual product, just the packaging. And actually, this is the first instance where the Japanese packaging is bigger than the US packaging. Take a look at the two here. Not by much, but it is bigger, even though the US version is just a little bit taller and wider. So, let's take a look at the Japanese N64. And it looks like, unfortunately, I hear it. You guys hear that? Back to styrofoam. Oh my goodness. Made so many steps forward in the redesigns, but then they blew it with the N64. Oh well, at least with the GameCube and the Wii they use cardboard. Here's the side. This may be specifying that you may have to buy something separately, because it looks the same as the Super Famicom box where they were telling you, yeah, you gotta buy your own RF switch and AC adapter. So if anybody can tell me what that means, and if that's the case, please let me know, because this does come with an AC adapter, but it does not come with AV cables, or at least mine didn't. I have two Japanese N64s. One came with the 64DD bundle pack, and then I have this one. And neither of them came with the AV cord bundled. The 64DD did have the AV cable, but it was in a separate retail package, like as if you were to buy it separately. So I have a feeling that they supplied the AC adapter, but not the AV cable. But anyway, here's the picture of the box and the sides, long and short. They're the same on the others. Lift the top off, and what do we have? Flip her around here. Wow. Well, for starters, it's the biggest instruction manual I've ever seen. Go look at that. Huge. Not color, unfortunately, but with very detailed descriptions and instructions for hookup and use, of course. And on the back, the serial number that matches up with the serial number on the console. Also included, I have no clue, but something you're not supposed to touch, something you're not supposed to take apart, and something you're not supposed to do nothing with. And don't squeeze your controller too hard. Alright, whatever. Getting a little punchy here. This is the last video. So really, if you live in the United States, this is nothing you haven't seen. This is the Japanese N64, which for all intents and purposes is identical to the United States N64. The only real differences are in the AC adapter and the cartridge slot and the cartridge themselves. So I'm not even going to bother to take the controller out of its package. It's the exact same thing. Alright, fine, I'm going to take it out of its package. Remember when I did the redesign videos of the Super Famicom and Super NES? Well, there's that cost-saving engraving. And then, with the name being the same, the logo being the same, everything's uniform among the regions, there's no reason to spend any money in creating different peripherals or accessories. It's all the same, and they work in any region. Except the games, and we'll get to that. So controller is identical between the Japanese and the US releases. The AC adapter is not identical, and that's because the current is a little bit different between Japan and the United States. So it looks the same, but there is a sticker in Japanese. This will fit in a US N64, and a US N64 AC adapter will fit in the Japanese N64, but it's best to keep them uniform. The system itself is identical to a US N64. Nothing you haven't seen. Power switch, red LED light, 4 controller ports, N64 emblem, reset button, and then the expansion port. Cartridge slot is a little bit different. On the inside, let's see if I can get a better shot of that. There's black plastic in there. And you see that little notch? That's going to become very important in the physical region lockout that I'm going to talk about in a minute. And the only other thing to note is the back side, the Japanese sticker, and of course the serial number. So all that said, the uniformity between the regions, at least between Japan and the United States, very similar. The only thing they needed to be worried about was the AC adapter, given the differences in current. So let's take a look at the US N64. And here it is, the US N64. Kind of interesting if you remember that Super Famicom branding with the different colors, the green, the yellow, the blue, the red. Well, the US N64 kind of took a cue from that. All those colors, or some variants, are included in the N64 logo. And on each side, you've got every color of that logo. Green, red, blue, which kind of looks purple, and then yellow. And that color scheme was on just about every single accessory and game that was released for the N64 in the United States. And the back has a big colorful collage of screenshots of some of the popular games. And of course, there's a window here to scan the serial number for this particular system. And uh-oh. Yep. More styrofoam. Oh well, we'll have to wait for the GameCube to get rid of the styrofoam completely. Alright, let's open her up. Yep, there's styrofoam. Paperwork. What have we? Let's see. Of course, consumer precautions. Can never be too careful in the United States. Instruction manual. All in black and white, but with good descriptions, instructions, and diagrams. And of course, what US Nintendo product would be complete without the obligatory Nintendo Power subscription? Alright, controller's identical. I'm going to leave that in this time, I promise. Unless I have to take it out. No, I don't. Okay. Here's the AC adapter. Identical in form, but you'll notice it doesn't have the sticker of the Japanese counterpart. So that's the only difference. Plus it's built to handle the US current over the Japanese current. The US N64 system, identical to the Japanese. Power switch, reset button, memory expansion, power light, 4 controller ports. In the back, it's got the multi-AV out and the sticker, of course, for the Nintendo World Class Service Center. The back does have the serial number and barcode to be scanned at the retail point of sale, but there's nothing matching on the instruction manual for that. So remember how I made a big deal about the color of the cartridge slot in the Japanese N64 and that it was black. Just as a refresher, got the black inside and that little tab back there. The US N64 has a gray inside and the tab is a little bit more in the corner. And what that is a physical region lockout. There is nothing different between a Japanese and a US N64 game except for the way the cartridge is keyed. And I'm going to show you 2 examples. I've got Dobutsu no Mori, which is Animal Forest. This is essentially the Animal Crossing for GameCube, but it was released on the N64 in Japan. And I have Mario Party. I'm going to take a look at the differences. First we'll do the Japanese. This game's a little bit of a non-standard issue because it comes with a memory card. And a lot of little fun inserts and stickers for your memory card with the Animal Crossing theme and all that kind of stuff. So if you've played Animal Crossing on the GameCube, this is pretty much the same thing. Got the instructions for the memory card, warnings, quick reference card for playing, and the big colorful instruction manual. But the game itself is what we're interested in. Looks just like a standard N64 game. You turn it over. Of course, the label is in Japanese. What we want to pay attention to are these two notches. That's where it's keyed for the physical region lockout. I'll set that down for a minute here. We'll take a look at the US Mario Party game. Pretty standard issue. You just got this consumer precautions, Nintendo Power subscription, and the instruction manual. The game itself, almost identical to the Japanese version, except the key marks are in different positions. Put them together, I got Japanese on the left, US on the right. You can see they do not match up. So I do not remember which system is which because they look identical. Let's see if I win a prize. I'm going to take this Japanese cartridge and stick it in this system. Aha, I win. That is the Japanese system. It fits. So that means this is the US system, and it fits. What happens if you try it the reverse? Absolutely nothing. Those tabs in the back of the cartridge slot just make it so that the game cartridge sits just above the cartridge slot, making no connection with the game board inside. So that's the physical region lockout. That, with the AC adapter, are really the only differences between the Japanese and the US N64. Whew. So that is it. I'm not going to tell you how many hours that took, or how many cuts I had to make for errors, or how many times the dogs decided they need to come in and join the fun, but I hope you enjoyed my playlist on Nintendo Unboxed, taking a look at the regional variations of the Japanese and US versions of the Famicom, NES, Super Famicom, Super NES, and N64.